Hey peeps, it's that time! It's the early summer deck list. I was gonna try to keep this list to just 5 or 6 decks, but as usual, I kind of epic failed in that arena. So I have quite a healthy list of decks that I'm feeling very drawn to work with personally and with clients as we move close to the energy of the midsummer solstice. It's such a powerful time, I think, in a lot of our lives and experience. I've found with a lot of my clients right now that a lot of us are examining feeling empowered and living a life that's in alignment with our inner truth and inner story. And I also think that there's an uncovering of where there is untruth within our stories and experiences as well. So if you feel like you're kind of doing a friendship or relationship or personal life kind of house cleaning right now, know that you're not alone. And also if you're connecting with faces of the dark feminine, maybe at a point in time in your path where you didn't think that you would be working with those energies, like if you're over here stateside and it's actually, you're stepping into the summer months, you may have felt that you were going to be working with a different face of the goddess or god, but perhaps there is a underworld face of deity that's coming forward to connect with you. Please know you are not alone in that as well. Personally, I've really been feeling a call, a very close reconnection with Isis and Kalima, and also with Santa Muerta as well, really working intimately with those energies and feeling very inspired from their sharings and wisdom and lessons in a way that's very exciting, right? It's wonderful. I feel the older I get, the more encouraged I feel, and more grateful I am for those phases that we move through when we feel really empowered and like we really are understanding and knowing of ourselves and our story and our path. And when the next step forward feels maybe not so scary as it can sometimes when we're moving through, the real darkness of the shadow world. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the energy of this month, and the energy of clarity and rebirth that the Judgment card brings. I think if I'm interacting with any face of the major arcana right now, it's most definitely the Judgment card. So let's get into the list and why I've been working with certain decks. So, okay, honorable mention to Tarot of Vampyres and the Isis Oracle, because I work with them all the time, and honestly, they really belong on every list, but to put them on every list would be asking you guys to sit through the same video, every single season. So I'm not going to share imagery from those decks or really get into how I've been working with them right now, other than to say the Isis Oracle is my favorite deck to connect with the goddess Isis, obviously, and so I use that for a regular weekly draw as well as personalized connection with her throughout my daily life. And Tarot of Vampyres I have been using as a daily draw deck currently as well. He's made an appearance in some readings, but he's not so much an active client deck right now. He's much more of a personal empowerment deck. I'm really working with Tarot of Vampyres for empowerment right now. So that being said, let's get on with the list. Okay, so I'm going to start with Journey of a Lonely Soul Oracle. I purchased this for a mentorship package with a wonderful, beautiful student of mine, very powerful student of mine. And I didn't think I was going to like this deck. I will be really honest, because of the errors in spelling, which really get to the very analytical side of my brain. But this deck, and I should also say, this deck is very connected with Persephone, and I'm personally just not really feeling called to work with Persephone right now, even though I know a lot of you are feeling called to work with Persephone. So if you are, this is a wonderful deck to do that with. But I was surprised by how much love and support and self-awareness I feel from working with this deck. And so while I've been using it in the mentorship package, it's actually really become a personal deck as well. And I've really been enjoying working with this deck. Really been enjoying working with this deck, and in a way that has totally surprised me, in such a way that the spelling errors don't keep me from pulling this deck off the shelf to do a daily draw or to journal around. I have found that she's not a super social deck, so I have not used her a great deal outside of my student working and my own personal work at this point in time, but I have a feeling she will claim her rightful place. And as much as we might think of this as a darker themed deck and Persephone, so it's about the underworld, I actually really see this as a springtime deck. Well, Persephone is a goddess of spring, isn't she? I really see this as a springtime deck, that energy of moving from winter into spring. And I think because it's been so cold here, except for 3 days when it was insanely hot here, it's been really, we've had much cooler temperatures than normal. I feel like we're stuck in the energy of early spring. Like the weather to me feels like, you know, April weather, not June weather. So I feel like I've kind of been stuck in spring with Persephone a little bit. And I feel like this deck really holds that kind of haunted space between maiden and mother, when you're not really 100% sure yourself, you don't really know who you are, but you're a mystery to yourself that you're wanting to explore and get to know. So this is Journey of a Lonely Soul Oracle. And I have to say, I'm going to do a full review on the channel. I know you guys are waiting for that. I do have an unboxing. But I have to say that I've been really surprised by how much personality this deck has and how connected I felt to it relatively quickly. So this one, yeah, this one took me by surprise. I didn't think that was going to happen. Okay, next on the list is the Abyssal Tarot. Oh man, I have to say, and I need to post a full review of this deck as well, but oh my God, if there is, I don't know if there's another deck I would associate more with the water realm as far as tarot goes than this deck. It's so beautifully just liquid diamonds perfection. I love this deck so much, and it has a very soft spectral voice, but it's also very lush and sexy. And oh, there is nudity in this deck, guys, sorry, so you may not want to look at this if you've got, I don't know, little ones around, or that's not your jam. But there's this fluidity, this vulnerability, this sensuality, and this otherworldly feel to this deck that I don't think I have another deck that feels like this. And journal-wise, it's creatively very inspiring by the key words that are included in the tarot imagery. Like, this is Page of Wands, red cloth. 8 of Pentacles, crystalline renaissance. Like, you just, it just offers a different window. And I literally do not give a fuck about the cardstock quality. I don't care. This deck is special. It's unique. It has a very special place in my heart. I found that she's really come forward a lot in regards to the energy of Venus, the energy of the mother in the cycle of the faces of the goddess, and very much in regards to kind of peeling back layers within ourselves. This deck is actually very talkative in client readings. She's really come forward a lot and has just encouraged a gentleness towards myself, and especially in regards to my self-talk. So if you feel called to work with this deck and that's something that you're currently unwinding in regards to the air element for yourself personally at this time, I would encourage you to give the Abyssal Tarot another look. Of course, as always, I'm going to have links to all these decks posted below. This is an indie deck. It's an investment deck. It's well worth it in my opinion. And I don't make money off of any of those links. Those are just there to make everyone's life easier. So the Abyssal Tarot, I'm like, why didn't I purchase that earlier? That's one of those purchases I waited on that I'm like, I should not have done that. I shouldn't have waited. I shouldn't have slept on that one. I should have gotten her a long time ago, but I'm very thankful that I have her with me now. So next on my list is the Fallen Angels Oracle. Y'all have been pushing me on Satan and demons when it comes to the offerings, the deity offerings that I've been giving and offering through the Etsy shop. It's been so much fun to see how many people are feeling called to explore those realms in that pantheon. And so I have been using the Fallen Angels Oracle a lot for work, but also just for the sheer joy of this deck. I love this deck. I love this deck more and more over time. If you're looking to connect with actual fallen angels, then this is a wonderful deck option for you. As you can see, each card contains a demon. Each card contains a demon as well as a keyword. And the guidebook gives you a nice jumping off point, not a whole lot of information, but a nice jumping off point if you want to work with these cards individually as specific entities. But I really experienced this deck as kind of a universal language coming from the pantheon of demons in general. And I find that this deck is completely honest, unapologetically so, and is amazing as a clarifier across the board. I love this deck for so many reasons, and the years have only deepened my love with this deck. And as I said, it's such a great clarifier. It's hard to beat as a clarifier. It's just so truthful. And it's like, boom, done, clarified, move on. It's not something you're like sitting and prevaricating over for a lot of time and you got to sit, you know, what I'm trying to unwind what the meaning is here. No, it's like straight up. So you do need to be in the right space to work with this deck. And I will say, if you do a spread for yourself with this deck and you are completely like let's say you're going to this deck because you need advice on a situation, or you want some insight into a dynamic or experience or choice you have to make and you are not clear, this deck will be confoundingly confusing until you are able to be clear with yourself. So it's like you have to be honest with yourself before this deck will give you the honesty that you desire from it. And I love that about this deck. I mean, I'm a Taurus. I like to work for it. You know, I don't want it to be too easy. I want to invest. I want some blood, sweat, and tears into this deck. We got to build a relationship, right? I love this deck for that. But I do say that just to say it's not necessarily a deck that you're going to pick up and it's going to be easy to work with, but it is going to be exactly with you how you are with yourself, which can be insightful in its own way, right? Like if you go to this deck and you're not getting a clear answer, maybe it's not really time to be looking at tarot. Maybe there's something else you should be exploring, right? So that is the Fallen Angels. Freaking love that deck. Let's see. Okay. This deck is very sentimental for me. There is a full review coming to the channel because I've been working with it pretty much daily since I purchased it. And this is the Coastal Curiosities Oracle deck. This deck reminds me of my great-grandmother. And so it's absolutely nostalgic. It's all about memories. It encompasses my love of the Maine coastline. And that includes the people along the Maine coastline and the atmosphere of the Maine coastline, as well as the physical structure of the coastline as well. I love this deck. I really, really love this deck. I get very emotional with it. And it's so sweet and capricious, but also it does work well as a clarifier in a very similar way to the Earthbound Oracle. So it very much will put like a one-word clarification for you. And it will help you understand like what's kind of going on underneath this. I love Earthbound Oracle for like, it's a straight shooter and lets me know what's going on underneath the surface that maybe my client is not seeing or I myself am not seeing, but is there and is impacting the situation or the experience. This deck is very similar to that. And I would say it's a little more wordy in how the messages come through for me intuitively than the Earthbound Oracle, but it's very much a brother or a sister to that energy in a way. And I think I mean that as a compliment. Like I love the way that these two decks can interact with you. And I really like to read it intuitively. I love the guidebook, but when it comes to readings, I don't necessarily reference the guidebook unless I'm doing a personal reading for myself or a daily draw. When it comes to reading in session, I just work intuitively with the deck and I find it to lend itself very well to intuitively clarifying. Again, especially to getting down into what's happening underneath the surface. So this is the Coastal Curiosities Oracle. I really, really love it. Love it, love it, love it. Okay. I have the next two, and then I have two kind of honorable mention that I couldn't not have on the list, but I don't know. Like, they're on the list. They're not really honorable mention, but those two will come next. These two I am obsessed with, and I'm obsessed with using them together, and I cannot stop, and I won't stop, and no one can make me stop right now. Like, I am obsessed, and that is the Earth and Bone Oracle, which another mentorship student got me to purchase. Thank you. And the Stunning Tarot, which was a lovely gift from a viewer. I do understand that this is out of print. I'm very sorry, guys, but this is actually what I am using personally every single day and in a multitude of readings for clients right now. I cannot get enough of these two decks, and I cannot get enough of these two decks together. And so I'm going to share them simultaneously for you, because just look at how beautiful they are together. First of all, the colors, the tones, the stark, you know, visceral kind of reaction that you have to the way the colors are used. I love that there isn't too much going on imagery-wise, and I have a lot to sit with space-wise within the cards. And let me just tell you, both of these decks are completely fucking honest. And together, there's no realm that these two badasses won't go to. I am obsessed with using them together. It's just, it feels good. You know, it's that wonderful feeling like when you've been in a long-term relationship and like you know each other by the back of your hand, but you still surprise each other every once in a while, and it keeps it interesting, you know? Because you're not codependent, you both have interests outside of the relationship as well. This is what these two decks together feel like to me. I love the way they interact together. I love using them together, and I just can't stop, won't stop right now. They're also very, this may be my favorite depiction of the Emperor ever. Like, seriously, seriously, seriously. I will say, I think these decks also lend themselves well separately and together in magical workings, in ritual, and when connecting with faces of the dark feminine or underworld gods. Both of these decks lend themselves well in those arenas. And if you're really looking to explore your witch self, if you're looking to deepen your craft practice, I think both of these decks are great options for that. They're very, very magical, and they dabble with the esoteric, but they're not a full dive into it, you know? Yeah, I love these two decks. These two are my badasses for right now, and they're my favorites right now. And they're my top two for early summer deck favorites. Okay, so the next two decks, well, one of them is not going to surprise you, but one of them is. Okay, next two decks, Ritual Tarot by Tara May. I know. You guys are tired of hearing me talk about it, but I love this deck. This deck and the Stunning Tarot, they might be in my new top 5 tarot decks of all time list, because I cannot get enough of either of these two decks. I really, really love the feel, the taste, the deliciousness of what both of these, both the Ritual Tarot and the Stunning Tarot bring to the table. When we're talking about the Ritual Tarot, there is an occult and esoteric level with this deck, and there's also a level in which the iconography, the artwork, the symbolism, the colors, everything kind of activates levels of the unconscious. And so you're able to go outside of straight up Rider-Waite-Smith reading and kind of explore deeper realms and deeper realms of mysticism within a reading, thanks to this deck. I really love using Ritual Tarot for spiritual path and deity focused readings, as well as for, again, coming to understand oneself more clearly. I think this deck really lends itself well for that type of work. This is an indie deck, and it is an investment deck as well, just like the Stunning Tarot and the Abyssal Tarot. Okay. I'm not doing too bad, guys. 20 minutes and I'm almost done. You know, sometimes my deck list videos, sometimes we just have too much fun. Okay, So final deck on my list is the Spirit Animal Oracle. Didn't want to put this deck on the list. I never want to put this deck on the list. I have such a love-hate relationship with Colette Baron Reid decks. You guys know this. You guys know this. We talk about this all the time. I just want to hate them because they're so boring. But they're so like manifestation 101, you know, like, I don't know. I want to hate them, but they're actually really fucking accurate when it comes to divinatory readings. Because again, much like Coastal Curiosities or the Earthbound Oracle, which isn't on this list, but apparently should be since I can't stop talking about it. This deck is very, very straight into the point for clarification. And a lot of that does have to do with the key phrases underneath the spirit animal energy. It also is a really beautiful deck to connect with an animal that you may want to work with in your spiritual path practice. But I've actually found over the last month that this deck has really come in handy for just straight up clarifying tarot. Not to use from a spirit animal understanding space, but actually just clarifying a message or a storyline within a tarot reading. And so that's really what I've been using this for. I haven't been using it in daily draws. I haven't been using it for journeying or journaling, but I have been using it almost constantly when it comes to tarot readings that require divination, timelines, and brass tacks aspects of life. This deck really does lend itself well for that, and it's very easy to work with for that type of clarity in a reading. So I did want to include it in this list because I'm kind of like, Spirit Animal Oracle, I hate you, but I keep using you every day. And I don't want to, but you work so well, and I have my own hangups that I need to look at because of that. That is the Spirit Animal Oracle. That's like any Colette Baron Reid deck for me. It's like, I don't want to, but it actually works so well. And so I can't not, you know, you got to do it. And that's the Spirit Animal Oracle right now. Like I said, very specific use. I'm not really using it in personal path working or self-understanding or self-growth. It's really just straight up for clarity in a tarot reading where I need to use my psychic ability. And it's a good one for that. So if you're wanting to explore that more, I think that's a great place to start. It's also a deck that doesn't require a great deal of monetary investment. And so if you don't use it all the time, it's not necessarily as upsetting as it can be if you spend, say, $80 on a deck, right? So this is my list. It's very like playful, colorful, racine energy, all these different, I don't know, ingredients that come into the recipe of this summer, the beginning of the summer of 2023, which doesn't quite feel like summer, but still feels pretty fucking cool. So I hope you are all doing well out there in the world. I am sending you so much love and many blessings, and I will see you in the next video.